Welcome back to the Duel Alliance podcast. It's your host Alicia Solomon and Megan Hines, and we're back live again. Hope you guys have been enjoying us, seeing us. We're back to talk about the challenge, USA episode 10. We are so close to the final. It's just about to be next week, but we're gonna get into all the happenings from this episode, from a friend having to put in his friend and two actual friends going against each other. So we're gonna start off with Sarah coming back off of her elimination win. She thought that the Fab Five was over, but she still wanted to be able to work with Kayla, Justine, and Desi. But she said that she will forgive, but not forget what Desi did the week prior. And Ben said that he was enjoying his new friendship with Enzo that they've kind of created at this time. But he knew that they may come second to his alliance with the Survivor guys and Angela. And then Dom did say that he was worried that David and Enzo could mess up the Survivor alliance, but also wondered how the Survivor guys would function of this being a guys' week.
Um, First of all, yeah, that was a made-up alliance with the Fat Five because um, it was literally something she said on a boat, and it stuck because I guess they were tipsy and thought it was a cute name, and it became a thing when it really wasn't a thing. So I can understand why it was easily thrown away and been like, it's no more Fat Five when it really never was one to begin with. Um, and then as for Enzo and Ben, I mean, Enzo has just been in the background, and I know Enzo, this episode got a lot of slack for quote unquote being not present in the house. And according to some people, he just slept the whole time. But I think that nonetheless, if he's been sleeping or not, he's been there. And he's lasted longer than some other people. And so I think that that war of attrition that he's lasted is meant for something. And he's been through now three eliminations. So even though he looked all he looked at all of them and was like, "This is all shits," essentially, and said, "Fuck yous." I think that Enza rightfully was where he's supposed to be. Like, I just didn't like the overall level of we're better than him and he doesn't deserve to be here. Because at that the point, what's deserve got to do with it? The man has lasted than longer than a lot of other people, and he's still there at the end of the day. So it doesn't matter what you believe he does not deserve. He was still there. And his friendship with Ben, I just feel like Ben has shown that he can flip and will flip on anybody because he was came into the house close with Sarah, and all of a sudden, because it just didn't fit his game anymore, he was just up Alyssa and at actually Angela's ass, and that's just what it's been. So it's not like I just feel like I don't trust anything that Ben has to say with his quote unquote friendships.
Yeah. Um, and after like Dom I said that about David and Enzo, Angela and Ben, who've become close miraculously, said that they were locked in for their alliance for what's ahead, and the end game for them is to run the final together with the dead weight, i.e., Enzo and David gone. Which I'm like, Enzo, if you can carry Enzo to a certain point and then he's good. Like, I don't understand like why and then I know Enzo's the oldest guy in the house. He's freaking 44, but he's been killing it in eliminations. He hasn't been too great in the dailies, which we'll see even more. But and what we've seen so far, but he has the heart, the tenacity to won a final. Like he reminds me of an older Nate from Are You the One and Rivals 3. They didn't make it to the finals, but they kept like fighting their asses off in elimination that season, and that got them so far. And I think that's what is working for Angel thus far. Like you said, like he's had extra lives. Like he may be dead weight, quote unquote, but you can carry him to a point. And Angela's just like, I just want to run into the best people. Well, ma'am, the best people are people on Survivor. You're just there because you won early in the game. You keep dominating whatever. But hey, whatever works for you. But I'm just saying, it's good to have people who are layups to have in the game because it makes it harder for you to win in the final of the strong people too.
Yeah, I mean, at some point they may or may not run a final together. So I do understand the fact that is trying to get rid of him now rather than having to get through the final. But it he's not doing anything to anyone. Like, and I just feel like his thought process in saying, "Damn, you gonna chose Dom over me." The only difference between him and Dom is that Dom was on Survivor and he wasn't. Like, or else if he was on Survivor, he would be staying in the house. So I think that's just the only difference is they just felt like, oh, because Dom is on Survivor and they have that alliance that he can be the one chosen. But if it was between him and I just feel like they would have been choosing between straws with those two at the end of the day.
Yeah. And we're getting to the daily challenge, which is called Cold Crossing, where two at a time the players will be harnessed at the end of a speeding truck and they have to place plagues and slots on the side of the truck, then use them to reach the front and pull the cord to um, show this fire in a sense. And prior to the start, the players will choose where they want their first six pegs to be placed, and if players time out after 3 minutes or fall off the truck, they are disqualified. If multiple players don't finish, the winners and losers are determined by the distance traveled, and the man and woman with the fastest time or furthest distance will win, while the man with the shortest distance goes to elimination. And to start off, we had David and Tyson against each other. Both of them had the idea to put the pegs at the start of um, the truck for a good head start, but that quickly backfired. Tyson was struggling with his placements, and both of them ended up timing out. They didn't get too far, and it was really like kind of neck and neck of where Tyson and David stayed.
This really I didn't really understand Tyson and his whole spiel about he was the first one, he was the guinea pig essentially, and him going first allowed everyone else to see how to go. I get that, but at the end of the day, you couldn't think to put six things on to walk. Like it wasn't that hard for you to come up with that thought process. So the fact that he literally was like trying to harp on the fact like he was the one who went first and so now everybody else gets to see how to go. It's like but honestly, it's little you're putting six things to get a head start. You don't think to put all of them on the on the bottom to make a walkway. I like I don't know. Tyson kind of pissed me off, and he was just very just being elitist and was just like, I'm better than everybody. Like he dominated for most of the season. He was flying through things immediately. He was literally dragging some of his partners across the finish line. And I think now that we've gotten towards the end and we kind of weeded out people, it just shows like how like it's his personality is just like, oh, I'm better than everybody and I got Angela here, so I'm good, I'm okay. And it's just like, ew. I don't understand that kind of I'm better than you thought process because I don't like people like that.
Yeah, I get like first time you go up, like okay, people see what you do, but like people can see what you do, but they can also do a different route, which we saw with numerous people during this challenge. And he was like, "Yo, I might be going in." Well, I at that point I thought he would be going in too, with the way that he did, but that didn't happen. But sure, like you're predicted by Angela, good for you. But your ass needs to go on nation because your time is up. And then we went to Alyssa and Sarah. Immediately, Sarah DQ'd by falling, and then Alyssa timed out.
Sarah didn't even make it two steps. Alyssa, I mean, bless her, she tried, she got somewhere. I just, I have nothing for her, but I feel like Sarah's DQ was just the funniest because it's like she put so much into her winning a challenge for her to just fall flat on her face every single time, and it's like, girl, what's going on? Like, you're supposed to be this top killer. You're supposed to be going after these people. And I feel like every other time you look at Sarah, this girl is just tripping over herself and just literally just DQing or just getting last place.
Yeah, I'm like I want to like Sarah, but then like again, she's freaking annoying. And I'm like, girl, you haven't won anything really thus far. You only won eliminations. Pick it up. Like you've lasted this long because you've won eliminations. Pick it up. You would think she would like have a light on her fire to try and do better, but she hasn't done better, and that's sad to see because she honestly could go toe to toe with the quote unquote top woman in the house, Angela, but no, she's been falling flat on her face. And then we went to Danny and Dom, and Danny didn't really have enough. I don't think Danny took enough pegs with him to even like finish through the truck. And Dom was progressing really well on the truck. He got, I feel like, just about halfway. He was when he stopped, he was right above the challenge emblem. So that's the furthest like someone has gotten thus far, and that's pretty impressive.
I mean, for sure, because the whole time, most of the time, if you look at the remaining crew of the house, Dom is on the bottom of that totem pole instead of on people's favorite list of people who they want to run the final with. And then as for Danny, I just feel like he thought Kiki was right behind him because why would you bring enough? Like, how did you think you were gonna manage? Like, yo, something's wrong with him. I keep calling it, and I'm gonna keep saying it. Something is wrong with him. Any man who's up them double A asses like that, something wrong with them. I'm just pointing it out.
He did get his Kiki reference, and I didn't write it down, but we got a Kiki reference this episode. Um, and then Kayla and Justine went, and then 5 seconds in, Kayla also fell off, and then Justine timed out as well. I'm like, damn, Kayla, this is the second time I think in a row that not in a row, but she not okay, like second challenge in 3 challenges that she's fell off immediately, and I'm like, girl, get it together.
Yeah, she's also just here so she won't get fined because Kayla hasn't been doing absolutely nothing. Like that's being low key a skater. Like she's just under the radar, just here and there, and she's aligned with people who majority of the house don't fuck with, but she's still there. So I mean, that's just keeping a low profile. That's the being in between two alliances and really not choosing a side, but sort of kind of choosing a side, and nobody really cares enough to get her out.
Yeah, I feel like in a sense she kind of played a better game than what James tried to do early on because he was doing all the talking for his partners when they were partnering with people. But he was like trying to like skate between different groups. But I feel like Kayla, because she's the only person from Amazing Race, still like she's been able to like kind of like keep a low profile, but still kind of be in the know of like kind of what's going on.
Yeah, she didn't overpolish.
Yeah, and then Ben and Enzo went Benzo, which I didn't know they had a bromance name until this episode. Um, Ben's strategy was to put the pegs on the bottom for a good footing to help get him to the front of the truck. Enzo timed out, um, but Ben managed to get the furthest, and that he was damn near close to the end. And I'm like, he was really going after it.
Yeah, Ben was the only one to, for the men at least, to get really, really close. And I did Enzo thought he did okay for what people expect of him. And I think that this just the challenge alone, it just shows where people are on the hierarchy of the men that are left in the house. And yes, Tyson could perform better if he had a better thought process. But I also feel like in a time like that, it's just like you have to be a quick thinker and you can't wait to be like, oh, I went first, so everybody can go off of my back and all that other stuff. So I feel like Ben obviously took that advantage. And I also didn't realize that he had some kind of Tebow the Clown alliance with Enzo. I'm like, where did this come from? The whole time we sitting here, we never seen these two fools be together, and now all of a sudden they're over a fire pit making s'mores and having a good time and telling westerns. I'm like, this was never shown. Like, what's going on here?
They're also called the baldies or something. It was like something with ball in it. I'm like, they have so many names for their duo, but we hadn't seen nothing to this point where I was like, I didn't know they were this close. So that was a shock to me to know that they were really good friends in the house, but that really didn't help either of them in the season. Next, we had Angela and Debbie as the last group to go. And Angela also did use her pegs as footing for a walkway to the end. And she worked her way to complete the challenge. For first and only person to fully complete the challenge, she got the snare, did that. Debbie was doing well till she saw, like, oh, Angela won. The only person to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wish she wasn't. Like, I get it, girl power, blah blah blah, but like, I wish out of all the women, I would wanted her to least win. If Desi would have won again, I would have been fine with that. If any other woman would have won except for the other I would have been fine with it. But because it was her, I just feel like that just made her power go to her head a little more, and she's just like now she feels like she's more in control of the house because she's already having the numbers of the guys in the house. And so by winning, now she definitely can pick and choose who she wants to go in. And I just did not like I didn't care for it. Like I feel like her scenes with her and another person was just so long that I'm just like, bro, I'm looking at her talk and I'm just like, I don't want to hear anything she's saying. Like I just wish she didn't win.
Yeah, Angela's just she's become annoying, and it's I want to say it's giving me Cara Maria in her last couple seasons, to be honest, because its power really had gone through her head. It's become a little bit toxic, um, and Ben said it like later on in the episode, like you're gonna be essentially pick who goes in, and I don't have to say because they were at a standstill with who we're gonna go in, which we'll get to later. But I'm just like, girl, stop. You didn't do well. I'm like, I'm just baffled because she didn't really do as well on Big Brother, but somehow she's on here and killing all these challenges.
She's the ice queen. Now
Yeah,
all of a
I'm
sudden
like,
she came on
girl,
here and she's turned into Elsa and Anna. Like, girl, if you don't get your ass on, please.
like you are not the queen bee. I'm so sorry. You're not that. So,
You're not that girl.
no, you're not. TJ did thank Angela for being the only person to complete the challenge and said that Ben also won for the guys with the distance. Angela's bank now rises to $21,000. Ben now has $11,000 as well. And then he just said that the last guy who was the furthest away in distance was David. I thought it really was gonna be Tyson though.
No, I said it was David just because of one, the intro and like them having Enzo and David in there, and then also just seeing how the rest of them did. I literally when TJ paused, I'm like David, and he said David, and I'm like, damn, I kind of wish I didn't call it because David's just been again one of those people who've been under the radar and just chilling, and he's so close to the end that it's just like I just wish that he would have been in the middle of the pack so that he just didn't have to go through this.
Yeah, like I've kind of also been fond of David throughout his time on the show. I always made jokes about him on Big Brother, but he really has shown like he is a good competitor. You just got to put him in the right situations. Um, and I want to see him come back. I know I made a statement like earlier season, like why I keep calling David, but honestly, he is a floater. He doesn't really do much, but he shows up. So I want to see him back. Um, Ben and Angela do have their deliberation talk with David, and he feels like he can send anyone of the guys home. And he's eyeing both Dom and Tyson as options because he believes he said this early in the season that he believes he could beat Tyson in something. Um, and he said that he saw physical elimination as Tyson's weakness.
Um, Tyson has definitely gone through this without going through an elimination, but David, that statement was very much bold because what I saw, baby, you can't even sit next to my guy who is me being Peter Parker out here. So I don't know how you will hold up against Tyson. Like that was so ambitious of him.
It was, but we gotta think big and when it comes to the challenge. So, hey, Angela did say she wants to move forward with the plan with the alliance, and she was like, I want Enzo. Ben said, Enzo's off the table for me. And he wanted Tyson to go in, but Angela said that Tyson's off the table for her. So they're at a standstill. Um, and honestly, for Ben, taking out Tyson would have been the best option, but because Angela is his cohort in this, um, that's not happening.
And he should have just went just like Desi should have stuck to her guns and went with either Angela or Alyssa last week. Ben should have stuck to his and just picked Tyson because Tyson is his biggest competitor, and I'm not sure why he's so stuck on this alliance with the women. Like, I understand that you possibly are going to need them going forward, but you clearly see your damn near at the end. And if this is a men's elimination, the next elimination will be a women's elimination. So does it what doesn't it benefit you to not put Tyson's name or at least to say his name? Like clearly he's your biggest threat in the house. Put his ass up there. And I just wish that him and or Dusty would have did something last week where him and their partner would have been at a standstill and who would choose so that we can see what the tiebreaker was. Because I think that once we got through that, it's like, okay, now the the lines in the sand are drawn. Like that's actually putting, the alliances at risk rather than you kind of just like, no, 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 I don't want to do it, I don't want to do it. And then it's just like, okay, never mind, I'll do it. And it's just like, why did you fold? Like I just don't like that from either of them.
It's them being too nice. Like, we need more drama. We haven't had drama in a while. Um, to be honest, like we need the drama when it comes to these arenas. Y'all can go head to head and like say, hey, I don't want this person in. I don't want this person in. Okay, well, let's see how that goes when we go to arena. See how that works because we haven't had that happen. I'm like, listen, y'all too nice. And I fuck that alliance to be honest, because we literally are at the end of the season. It don't matter.
Nah, it really didn't though. Like, what we are trying, they were trying to hold on to that damn alliance, like a African trying to grip somebody's damn hair. Baby, let it go. Like, let it go. Let it go.
And the next day, Angela tells Tyson and Danny that Ben was being aggressive towards her with like their decision. And I don't like how she said that, to be honest. It was giving me white woman victimy. And Danny and Tyson didn't know what game Ben was trying to play. But they were very on board for Enzo to go in. Um, and they knew that Ben was not going to be on their side if like he stuck to that decision and did not choose Enzo.
I thought I completely missed the whole scene when we jump cut to Angela discussing this with Tyson and Danny. Because I'm like, oh, did I miss something here? Like, I don't remember this scene happening at all. Which she was talking about how he was aggressive and yelling, and then they went into like him apologizing, and all of a sudden just folding and being like, yeah, yeah, you know what, you're right. Like, literally just bitching up. And I'm like, what happened to the like? What happened? Why y'all ain't show that?
I don't know. We that would have been good TV. We like I said, we need more drama. It's giving stale.
It really is.
But like you said, Bennett apologized. So he didn't mean to spook her. But he was like, okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and vote for Enzo. Like it's a game. Like I can separate that from personal. But then shit blew up in their faces because Angela told David that Enzo slept throughout the season. Um, and once she said that, David was like, "What the fuck?" The way he whipped his head back, like, "Huh?" That's it, me.
uh, yeah, he casually was like sipping his tea or coffee, whatever, and she was just like, "Please don't tell him." And he just sips the tea, and he puts it down, and he doesn't give her an answer. And he gets up and walks away. I'm just like, I love it, David, because she's being very like passive aggressive with the way she's saying the shit and just trying to be like, oh, you know, I'm gonna do this and blah blah blah. And he's like, yeah, you are? Okay, cool. So I'm gonna go tell my mans what's going on because you acting like you really run shit in here. So we gonna check this. And he literally just got up and just left.
um, and she was like, it's not personal. Like I love Enzo, but it's just a game. Um, but I feel like at this point, David and Enzo didn't even know about the Survivor Alliance that she had either. So this threw them all the way off guard. Like that still hadn't come out to them that she was working with the Survivor guys.
That was the major thing.
Yes. And he was like, "You're so," he like you told her like you're letting up Survivor steamroll like, and she was like, "I'm trying to protect you. I've been protecting you this whole time, David. Have you? Have you really? Because you don't talk game to him at all. You never talk game with Enzo at all. So you were not trying to protect him. You were looking out for your own self, and that was it."
Yeah, she was just trying to save her own ass because it's like at this point, why lie? Like you've been talking crap about Enzo the whole time and saying he's been sleeping and whatever and however you feel about him, cool. But the whole point of David being upfront and just being like, if you're gonna do that type of shit, then just stand in it and be like, hey, this is what's gonna happen for my game, and that's it. Like not the backtracking like, oh, I want to help you and I've been trying to protect you, because no, you have not. Just say what it is and keep it pushing. Like it was just the over politicking for me. That's where she really messed up, and where a lot of people in this house seem to overextend themselves to make it seem better than what it is to the person that they're apologizing to. And it's just like, bro, you doing it right in front of them and then you're like, oh, sorry. It's like you looking at somebody, stabbing them in the back and looking them in the eyes and be like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. Like, oh my god, I'm so like, what? Like that, y'all really just stand in it. Like if y'all doing something wrong, just do it and just own up to it.
Yeah, and Angela had to tell Ben, and she told David, and David was like, and Ben was like, "What the fuck?" Like really, this whole episode of this whole situation was like, "What the fuck?" Like we're really like telling people what we're doing, and it's like, all right. So because she told him that she told David, Ben had to go tell Enzo, and not rightfully, Enzo was pissed off because like he said that she would rather have Dom than me. And that's the crux of it. That's really is the crux of it. Like she really chose Dom over him. But honestly, if you're talking layups, I would rather have Enzo over Dom. And then Enzo's the old man, but I would take him over
Dom is too. Like Dom ain't no spring chicken either. He right behind Enzo. Them
Dom.
both two old geezers is in the house together. Like, come on. They both is old. So I don't understand. The only thing is that Enzo can't swim really well. And I think that was probably the factor that was just like, all right, we're gonna choose between point A and point B. But point B can't swim. So we're gonna go with point A. And it's like, all right, cool, but point A is only gonna take you so far. Like I just it's like damn if you do, damn if you don't, I guess kind of thing with that. But yeah, I just felt like Enzo with the glasses too, like them clock glasses he had on. He just had me cracking up this whole episode. I don't know. I feel like Enzo Enzo provided the show for me this episode.
The Italian in him jumped out like heavy. Like he was really on go.
And they called him the Italian stallion. I'm like, yo, who was calling this man this? Like, yo, they just came up with these names just flying this whole episode. I'm just like, bro, I damn sure know ain't nobody calling Enzo the Italian stallion. Like, get out of
Mm-mm.
here.
And Enzo said, I hope for people's sake that I don't come back because he was ready to go after both Tyson and Angela because they gonna rule the day when they piss him off and he comes back. And then David was also pissed again. And he was hella mad at Angela Alyssa. Um, and Alyssa was like, well, what do you expect? I'm like, shut up. Shut up, Megamind. I can't. You just there. You are
Yeah,
riding Angela's coattails at this point. Like you're just there.
facts. I think that was my major thing with her was that between him just being upfront, and I guess he really couldn't really understand why, but it was just like, bro, I think the bottom line is that they're in together, like they're in cahoots with each other, and you're on the outs. That's just the bottom line. There's no explanation needed, David. So I felt bad because he really was like, trying to walk away. Like I'm getting hot. I gotta walk away. Da da da. And it's just like, bro, these people are not fucking with you. The end. And Angela, like, she was upset because she had to explain herself. Girl, nobody didn't tell you to run your mouth and tell this man that he was going against one of his closest friends. Like you could have kept that information to yourself. You volunteered the information in the first place, created more of a shitstorm because now the person who also won with you is friends with the person that's being thrown in. So now he has to do it was just too much happening, all of the fact that Angela couldn't keep her mouth closed. Like that was the bottom line.
Yeah. I feel like I feel like we've used this before, but I feel like this episode should be called You Should Have Been Talking Shit. Because it's riding back. And I was like, listen, Angela gonna rue the day when things right back at her. Because next week, Women's Week, you know? I'm just saying, somebody gonna take a shot. Somebody.
Please do, so we can all like be put out of our misery.
Yeah. And we go to the arena, and right at the bat, in his confessional, Enzo said he wants to prove that he can get to the end. Because he's proved himself in a nation, and he feels like that's justified for him to still be in the game. David said he's at peace of the path to the end and taking out Enzo. Like they know like, hey, like we're friends, but we gotta at the end of the day we're here to win money. So we're just gonna go into this and do what we gotta do to win. Both Angela and Min choose Enzo. And TJ was shocked, like, yo, I thought y'all was boys. I thought y'all was Benzo. And what's that? And Ben was like, Ben will still exist. Like, nope.
No, it's just it's just you, Ben. It's like it's no Zoe. Like it's literally just you.
Yeah. And this elimination is called Balls In, where it's going to be played in 5 rounds, and the guys that rotate playing offense and defense. The offensive player will attempt to get the ball into the goal at the center of the arena, while the defender tries to block them or knock the ball out of bounds. The player with the most goals stored, no, stored, scored at the end of the final round will win the elimination. And to start off in round one, Enzo really wasn't trying to let Enzo get the first score on round one. David was holding his own, but Enzo pulled him out of bounds.
Uh yeah, these two was just struggling. Uh it was actually interesting to see the first couple of rounds and them going through it. But David, 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 David. He got me so tight at him. Like I was rooting for David, and David was because he was so fired up. Like in the pre interview of him, going, he's just like he didn't even have any words. He was just so fired up he could barely even talk. And then we see him just make mistake after mistake, and not even just like small mental mistakes, like big ones, like the ones that are like head scratching. Like, what are you doing? Like, you, I don't think you understand what's going on in the game right now, kind of shit. Like, he just, I don't know if he wanted it so bad that he really just started messing up or what.
He was pulling some Nick Young stuff out of his ass, to be honest. Like, that's all I could think of. Like, some of those moments. Um, but but he was really doing good, at least at points with defending. He was able to like push Enzo out of bounds on different rounds. In round two, David managed to find an opening, and he pushed Enzo down close to the goal and got the ball in. Like he was really up, and then started to gas out and not have his mind right as time went on, and that was his downfall.
Yeah, I mean, he went into it so fired. It's just like, how you letting Enzo beat you, my boy? Like, Enzo, like, I understand that's your friend, but you got this. I don't want to keep disrespecting Enzo, but this man is older. Like, come on. You supposed to be, this man is your senior, and you letting him eat circles around you, like literally pull you down like circles. Like it was given very much grown man.
Yeah. Um, it was back and forth the whole time until we got to the second part of round four. David had Enzo on the ropes for a bit, close to the edge of the circle of the arena, but Enzo made a play where he threw the ball past the goal, um, and then he just ran for it and ran for the ball and got the score tied 1-1.
Yeah, I mean, they forgot that the ball was a part of the game. Like the name of the game was balls in, and they forgot that because every single time the ball got out of either one of their hands, and TJ's literally yelling, "The ball is live! The ball is live!" They're literally just on the floor wrestling with each other. Like y'all wanted to wrestle with each other, or do y'all want to win? Like they were literally just not even focused on the right things.
You know, at that point, David was getting gassed, but it was just going back and like it was really back and forth, like people getting gassed, getting the ball out of bounds, and just pushing each other down. In round five, the deciding round, um, David pulled Enzo down, but Enzo got up to his feet, and David was on his leg, and Enzo got the ball in the goal, and Enzo won the elimination, and it was 2-1. And Enzo had his victory lap, saying that keep coming in the arena, I'm robbing you. And that is the end of the episode with Enzo getting David's money. Enzo now has $18,000, and um, that's the most a guy has in the bank right now. And he called himself a phenomenally.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Enzo, he looked at the crowd. I don't know, even know what he was saying. Something talking about something used, and he just went into like very much Italian mode. And it was funny because Danny looked at Tyson and was like, "Who's he talking to?" And I'm looking at Danny like, "He talking to you, like dumbass. Like who else you think he talking? He talking to everybody up there who fought against him, like who was picking against him. What are you talking about? Like Danny just pissed me off." But and so I mean, at this point we're getting like close to the final, and so I don't know how much power he's going to have and the ability to break up this alliance, but I do appreciate the fact that he's like one of the main ones out of the men anyway, because all of the men are aligned with those two women, but he's like the only male at this point that's not in the finals that are like in the alignment with them. And I appreciate that. Even though I don't know what he's going to do, I don't know how he's going to be carried or make it through it. But at the end of the day, he's still there. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
I really like three eliminations, even though he don't show up in the challenges. To win three eliminations is not easy at all.
yeah. And when that happened, I'm like, yo, this is giving me Devon flashbacks. Because she kept going to the nation, and she had just made it so close to the final. But like, Big Brother really be giving us people who are fighters, and I just have to get in a sprinkle in a Devon moment because that reminded me of her. But they had her on the ropes, but she kept fighting her ass back into the house. And that's exactly what both David and Enzo did. Like, they really did that. Like, they showed up in nations, not as much as in the challenges, but the dog came out in the nations. So props to them for actually showing up. Because like sometimes when you go in them, you get nervous. You don't do well. This week it just wasn't David's time, and it is what it is.
Yeah, sorry to David, who really, you can see in his face that he really, really did want to get to to the finals because he got so far. And I mean, if they were to ever do this again, I feel like he would easily get a call back because he stayed longer than at least 2 to 3 episodes. So that's longer than he has in anything else. So you might as
Yeah.
well come back, David. I mean, what else you got to do?
Yep, and that is the end of this episode. We are 1 week, technically, not the 1 week, but in the preview they said next week's the final. We'll time to go through the elimination. So we'll see how next week in the superstars I think episode will be. So
It's a 2 hour episode. It's the finale and it's the final elimination. And I mean, typically we get the elimination into 2 parts. And I mean, the final in 2 parts, excuse me, where you get to an elimination and then you go into the final. It's day one of the final, which is typically starting at night. And then it goes into the day part of the final. But either the finals was whack or like it like I don't know because I the way that they structured it is different than the way that it's typically done, which could be just how they decided to chop up the episodes. But I was completely prepared for at least 2 more weeks to happen, but clearly they were just like, we're just gonna throw this shit together and just end this shit now because they're just throwing the final elimination and now the final. And I mean, finally it's here, but it's just like I'm interested to see what happens because I don't know if I remember seeing anything like this where it's just like it's probably not even giving anything. Like I hope the finals provides at least some kind of interest because if not, the drama towards the latter part of the season, besides Sarah and her psychoticness, was just so lackluster.
Yeah, like I'm just thinking, like, okay, so after the final resignation, it's teacher be like, okay, the final starts now, and I'll see y'all. And we're gonna go to the next thing into the final. Cause I'm like, because they showed the overnight portion. I would think that it would start. I don't know if they would start that right away, but I feel like they would, because like that's what they've done before in these challenges where like they want to start the final like right away. They would like at least like make the overnight portion first, or they'll just let them wait for a little bit and do something and then overnight. But I feel like they would start that immediately and then go into the next day and then finish the final.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the format of what we're gonna see next week. But again, we'll see next week.
Yep, and we're gonna get into these tweets from this episode. There's three that stood out for me. First one was, if you told me at the beginning of the season of the challenge that Enzo would be the last Big Brother male standing with 3 elimination wins, I would not have believed you. I would not have either. Like I would have thought
That's
that
a
at least
fact.
Kylan would have been here, or at least David. I don't know,
Yeah,
somebody else.
I forgot about Kylan. That's how long ago he's been gone. I forgot about Kylan. For sure,
Or
I would
even
have like Kylan over Enzo here.
or even Xavier. But that wasn't gonna
Right,
happen.
right.
And then the next tweet, hold on, was, why is everyone so scared to run a final with Enzo, but they aren't scared to run with Dominic? Which we kind of touched on this earlier already. We're like, because Enzo can't swim and Dom can. It's just, what else is a factor with them wanting Dom over Enzo?
Yeah, I think at this point it would just have to be the likability for them with Dom and their alliances because that's just the only way that that's adding up because to me they're two same of kind of people in that same frame.
Yeah. And the last tweet, I have to kind of explain this last tweet, but I'll send it to you. It just says same exact energy. And it's David trying to throw his ball into the goal. And then the next photo is of Carlson after he shot the ball in that Fresh Prince episode, that notable episode. Um, and the next photo was the ball that David threw, didn't go far. Next photo was Carlton's brick. Well, not even the brick, but the air ball.
Yeah, like that was the moment for me where I was like, "Yo, David, what are you doing?" Like at first, I'm like, "All right, cool. You know what?" Because I would have been the same way. Because at one point, I think that the play before when he was on offense, he did like this little spin move off of end zone. I'm like, "Oh, okay, David. Like I see you, working a little footwork in there, even in the sand, spin move. He getting it working." And then he literally like when he shot it out, automatically I yelled Kobe. And I was like, oh no, this ain't it at all. Like that that joint definitely, like you said earlier, was the Nick Young. Like he shot the three, walked away, and that joint
Yeah,
was all the way on the other side of the thing. I said, oh my gosh. And then he did something like that again. And I'm just like, bro, what are you even doing right now? That's why I just got frustrated watching David because he just uh he was trying. Bless his heart.
yeah. Um, but like I said, I want him back. And those are the tweets from this episode that I found interesting. And yeah,
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are 1 week away from the finals. It'll be probably a 2-hour finale, supersized as they called it. Interested to see how we get to the final, who purges, in the final, and how this all ends up coming, like the conclusion of this show. And this winner would be playing against, the other winners. I think they already wrapped the Australia show, and I think they're going to be shooting the UK version very soon in October. So all of the global components of those shows are being either filmed and wrapped or starting filming soon. And so we'll get all of this winner on the US version and those winners all to play together, and then more people from previous seasons of these shows and MTV versions. So this was to be one all convoluted situation that's going on, but we're gonna cover it all because this is what we do. We watch the challenge all the
Yeah.
time. So thank you guys for listening. You can follow our Twitter page at Duel Alliance Pod. You can follow our personal pages. Megan's page is at Megan Hines,
Alicia is at ace_s5.
and you can follow our YouTube page at Dual Alliance Pod. You can check out the episode. We've been going live just because it's a little bit easier, but honestly, it is what it is. We here, we getting through it, and we'll be back to do the conclusion of the show. I can't believe that they wrapped it up so they just like, yo, get this shit out of here, like wrap it up,
See,
B.
I told you CBS is on some weird shit, and this is about that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, I for
we'll
sure I
see.
see the vibes. I see the vibes. Well, we're gonna see what happens next week. Thank you guys for listening. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you guys. Peace out.
Bye.